Okay. My name is Jim Alvarez. I oversee CACH feeder on our Twitter site here, and we had the opportunity today during a PCM to be visited by Gary Gassoyne with Silver Eagle Manufacturing.
Right. Glad to be here today.
All right. What can you tell us about Silver Eagle?
Sure. Silver Eagle's been a supplier to UPS since 1980, so for 38 years. We're most known for our converter dollies, and we also make TP60 trailers, which are small package trailers behind your package cars. We rebuild shifters for you, and we also make e-assisted trikes.
Nice. T-dolly. You know where I was going there with this.
Of course.
T-dolly. What's a T-dolly, and how did it get its name T-dolly?
Okay. Well, there's a couple reasons on T-dolly. First of all, it's a telescoping drawbar, so it opens and closes, changes the gap between the trailers. And if you were to look down on it, it's T-shaped because the axle goes left and right, and that single drawbar goes fore and aft.
Nice. What's the advantage? I mean, why a T-dolly over a regular dolly? What's the advantage of it?
Sure. The biggest advantage on the T-dolly is to improve the aerodynamics, so reduce the drag,
okay,
and improve the fuel economy.
Okay.
So we do that by closing up the gap between the trailers.
Okay.
And that makes a better aerodynamic flow. The other thing it does is when you close up the gap and tighten that up, there's less wiggle in the trailer. So like when you change lanes, you can see it comes in, it doesn't hunt around, it just stabilizes. Okay. That also makes it more aerodynamic and easier to drive.
Okay. Question that some of the guys have talked to me about, triple trailer combinations.
Yeah.
Can a T-dolly be used only in the front or only in the back, or can it be used in any combination?
Okay. It can be used any way you want.
Okay.
We tried to make the dolly right from the beginning to be agnostic to what it was hooked with. The driver doesn't have to do anything different to hook it up. The same glad hands, the fifth wheel couples the same way, the eye couples the same way.
Okay.
So it doesn't care what it's hooked to or where. It can be the lead dolly in triples, it can be two in triples, it can be the rear dolly. It probably does the best for you by being in the lead because triples can pick up a little more wiggle. It amplifies whatever you do in the steering wheel. So if you put it early, it's dampening it out early.
Correct. And you could use those with the double long trailers that we pull.
Yeah, sure. Double
so no
48s.
difference.
No.
Just run with it like a regular dolly.
That's right.
It'll do its thing. Okay. Yeah. How does it know when to open and when to close? How does it know?
Sure. The way it knows is we change it by speed. So if you think about it, when you're driving down the road, you don't change your wheel very much because you don't steer very much. It's in the yard and places like that where you have to have steering. So a regular dolly doesn't change. So it needs a big gap for those times when you're going to have a big steering angle. But down the highway, you don't. So we utilize the ABS valve. The ABS valve knows the speed and its own technology. The ABS valve will then signal when we hit 40 miles an hour to our controller in the T-dolly. And it'll tell it to close. We have a hydraulic cylinder in the middle. A latch undoes on the lock, and it pulls the drawbar closed and closes up the gap between the trailers.
Okay. Makes sense.
Then the reverse of that is when it's time to open.
Okay.
So since we're just saying at higher speeds, we don't need all that room. So at 35, it's the same. The information, matter of fact, the ABS valve is no longer sending a signal, so the T-dolly always wants to fail safe and open up.
Okay.
It will then revert and push the drawbar back open.
Okay. So how do I know it's going to open? Do I have to? How do I know that it opened?
Well, it just does everything automatic. So everything about the T-dolly is designed to always default open. So even a low battery, we will say, no, it might not have enough to open when we need it, so we're just going to open now. So the ABS valve will trigger it that if you're at 35 miles an hour, unless there's some other error it detects, then it will open. So like you're reducing your speed, it'll open automatically for you. The driver doesn't have to do anything.
Okay.
Now the one exception to that is if you get yourself completely stopped before it's had adequate time to open, which is usually about 22 seconds.
Okay.
So if you get to 5 miles an hour, the ABS valve also shuts down, and it will quit operating until you see 5 miles an hour again. So let's say you come off a off ramp real hot, so it's helping you stop. You get up there, you're at the light, you're waiting, it hasn't fully opened. As soon as you start to drive again, it'll just finish the job and open back up. And it'll wait till it sees 40 miles an hour again before it tries to close.
Okay. What if by chance it doesn't open? Like for some
mechanical failure or something. In case it doesn't open, all a driver has to do is pull over and set the brakes. The T-dolly has in it valving that you can overcome. That also kind of works as a shock absorber down the road. So pull over, get out, you know, obviously safely, pull over safely.
Right.
And you can just turn off the valves on the trailer that's leading the dolly,
Okay.
and just pop the emergency hose. That will set the brakes on the dolly and the trailer, or if it's triples, the additional trailer behind, wherever the T-dolly is. Then just get back in the cab and pull it forward. That'll extend the drawbar for you.
Okay.
So if there's some failure that's not allowing it to work, or it's in the safe mode because it wants to fail safe, then you can just drive and return.
And then it's just it's in fail safe. It's a conventional dolly.
That's right. The T-dolly, when it's open, extended, is the same length as a regular dolly.
Okay.
So the whole idea is if anything it doesn't like, it will fail safe and go back to being just like a regular dolly.
Okay. I've used them a few times.
Yeah.
Okay. Why do they blink? Sometimes you'll go up to it and it's blinking.
Okay, those are the error codes. So there's something that the controller has determined. It could be something as simple as low battery voltage.
Okay.
Or it could be something more complex, like it says the lock didn't open when we tried to close and it didn't close, so it was a failure. At that time, it locks the dolly out from being a T-dolly. It makes it normal. So there's actually 13 different blink codes on it.
Okay.
And each of those means something different. And other than battery will like self-heal.
Okay.
If you added fluid, like low fluid in the reservoir would be another one.
Okay.
So it waits until something gets fixed and and at that time it'll return to be a T-dolly. But if you came up to one and it's blinking, it's safe to run.
It's safe to run. So even if it's blinking, you're good to take it.
That's right.
It's
like
a regular
you
dolly.
take lunch break and maybe you're on some slope and the fluid was already low, and so now the float's saying, hey, I'm low on fluid, I shouldn't run because I don't want to wreck something. You're fine to run it. It'll just behave as a regular dolly.
How do you charge the battery on it?
Okay, that's all built into the system. So in the system, in that 7-way plug, the 7-pin is called the auxiliary, or we often say the blue wire.
Okay.
That's full-time power. So when the ignition is on, that's powered.
Okay.
And that will feed the battery.
Okay.
Then we have the built-in battery charger that actually ups the voltage so you get adequate charging. Even goes so far as when it's cold out, it charges at a higher voltage because batteries have more resistance when it's cold.
Okay.
So that's all built in. But the one other feature it has is if it sees really low voltage coming in and like something's really making the voltage drop, it'll turn off because we always want to make sure there's adequate power for ABS.
Okay.
So the dolly says, I'm going to be last in line to take electricity because we have built in, if it's low voltage, we'll just open up and we'll wait till we get charged again. So it should self-charge as long as everything's okay. You know, you have a good 7-way cord and all that kind of stuff.
Okay. How many batteries is it like a car battery, or is it just how many batteries are on a T-dolly?
Okay. It's like a car battery. It's really more like if you have a personal watercraft, that kind of battery. And it's an absorbed glass mat, an AGM, and it actually sits on its side. So it won't leak or anything.
Okay.
So it's a sealed battery.
Okay. And it's
12 volt, just one.
It does its thing.
Yeah.
And you got better fuel economy.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of neat seeing it shrink.
And
you know?
and when you have like windy days, you're going to get less wiggle, especially
Right.
crosswinds. It's just going to calm things down for you.
So in pretty much any scenario, there's always going to be a fail-safe on these things.
That's
so
right.
you could take it. So if it's flashing, you could take it. If it starts flashing midway through your trip, you could take it. If by chance it doesn't expand, you could shut off your K valves, pull it apart, and then it acts as a conventional
Now you might have to
dolly.
do a little more than shut off because you probably need to pop the glad hand to make sure it exhausts.
Okay.
So it tells it to go in.
Okay.
See, but you got the right idea.
And then once you expand it, it's a conventional dolly. It's in fail-safe mode. And,
Right.
and that's it. So
and you should always use safe practice. Like when you come up to a piece of equipment, if you see something like a bent drawbar or a tire that
right, you write that.
it's
up,
the
but,
same as anything else. So if you see something mechanical, but the light, no, you shouldn't.
So
use
any
that.
blinking, anything like that, it just fail
Don't worry
safes
about
and it acts as a regular dolly.
Yep.
Okay.
And most of the time, it's low batteries, the number one thing you're going to see.
Okay. And winter time, no different. Doesn't really affect it. It'll charge it at a higher state.
That's right.
The battery.
It converts that lower voltage to higher voltage to make sure the battery's good.
But other than that, you could run it damp, cold, snow,
That's right.
ice.
And frankly, when it's closed up in ice, it's going to wiggle less than a regular dolly too because it has a shorter wheelbase.
Okay. Well, we put a lot of things to rest because I know guys said, well, you can't pull them with double 45s or 48s, so we know you can.
Yeah.
You can only put them on the front in a set of triples. That's not true. It could be just the back or just the front.
That's
dolly.
right.
And if it's flashing, you could still take it.
All that.
It'll operate.
It's
like a
something
normal
new,
dolly.
so people, it makes sense. People want to be cautious.
Right.
And we want you to be safe, and UPS wants you to be safe. We're all on the same game, and we have this great relationship working with UPS for so long.
Okay.
that we just want to make everything better for each other.
Sounds good. Thanks
Okay.
for clearing it up.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, sir.